Welcome to Life Workshop, where we discuss the forgotten basics. This episode again is on value system part 4. So as you might have listened to the previous one, I say the value system is really something that will decide the direction that we choose to go in our life in different aspects. And then as the changes maybe at the beginning would not be as much. For example, when we make some different change, we have different values, or we just make different choices. At the beginning, it may not make that much of a difference, but the changes normally have exponential results. That it can be really changing over years to come, and that can make a huge difference on how we are going to end up to be, and the life that we are going to have. So because of that, it's very important to reevaluate those values, and time to time just see, are we doing the things the right way? And sometimes we have done something that it made sense at one point, but does it make sense anymore? Because things change and circumstances change and we do change.
Right.
So anyway, before we get started again, please, again, as usual, if you can, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And please ask us questions. If you have any questions that you might think that it will be of value to you and others, I will be more than happy to go and figure out if I know, and if I feel comfortable about it, I'll just discuss it. But anyway, back to the part 4 of value system. So one of the things again that I'm going to bring up here, I forgot to mention again, this is Bo and Mo, the most favorite host and co-host. But one of the subjects that I want to talk about that now, Bo, I'm going to ask you this question, but again, this question is for everybody basically. Do you take pride in saving money or spending money? In general.
Saving.
Good.
Which I don't do very well.
Okay, good to know. But actually, this is the interesting part. Sometimes I don't know if it has happened, that you talk to some other people. Oh, I spend money on this, I spend money on that. And, as if it's just they talk with something glorious thing about it. Anyway, so it is just something to think about that, really, which one? And
I
then
hate it. It makes me depressed when I spend money.
Then maybe you want to do something about that.
But I do it all the time because, you have to. And I'm like, oh.
Well,
and then you nickel and dime. Well, I'm bad for nickel and diming myself. I'll spend $20 here, $20 there. $5 here, $5 there, and then all of a sudden it adds up to a large amount. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, oh, where did all my money go?
Actually, this is an important part to talk about a little bit. For example, when it comes to the saving money or making money, I would just get there a little bit. The things change. For example, when you're younger, definitely, and you don't have money, definitely you want to save more. And then as you get older, then, for example, if you have saved enough, if you're there, then, you don't want to worry too much about that. You can maybe start spending. But of course, when I say spending, again, I don't mean unreasonable. Mm-hmm. But now I just remember this. I'm going to tell this story very quickly. It's about, there was this gentleman that I knew, and he's a very wealthy man and very successful in his business.
It's not talking about me.
You're out already.
Yeah.
and then, for example, he had a business that he was very successful at it too. But when the COVID hit, then it affected all businesses, including his. But he was really worried about that, which I was just couldn't understand. Why are you worried about that? If even if you don't make it, again, you have enough to live. And it will not change your lifestyle. So for almost 2 years, he was really worried about this. And then I didn't know that years, for the past, after a year and a half of, basically having all this worry about the COVID thing, he was diagnosed with a terminal disease. And then a few months after, he passed away. The moral of the story is this. If he had simply thought differently, he would have lived his life the same thing, but with comfort. But just way of thinking made him to worry for, a year and a half before he was, diagnosed with that terminal illness. This is where I'm going with that. That, we want to think about this kind of thing. Does it make a difference? Absolutely, it does. So for example, when it comes to saving money, yes, definitely you want to save money, but at one point you really don't want to as much. Why? And it doesn't mean, I'm not saying that by that I do not mean go spend, lavishly and do that. No, no, no. But you want to be more comfortable. You don't have to put your focus on it as much. You may want to or donate it, or I want to help people, or you might decide to work less if you want to. But it will change a little bit the flavor of life. That's what I'm trying to say.
What do you think for that guy, though? Like, was it really about money? It's about a business that he wanted to run and just functioning and keeping it going. It wasn't about, I don't know who this is, but it doesn't sound to me like, possibly it could not be about the money.
You could be very well right. I, of course, had spoken with him, and, he had said the money part, he brought that. But that's,
okay.
No, you could be very much right that maybe it is his pride and it is his baby, that business, and he wants the business to succeed.
And that's his purpose, is to have the business succeed, right?
Correct. But the point, that is another thing. Now it takes you to another aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
If COVID has hit and it's not the fault of your own that is affecting your business, why do you take responsibility for it? It's out of your control.
Well, because it's your business and you have to find a way around it. It's just another challenge.
No. A challenge is good. Now it went a little bit. Myself, for example, being a physical therapist, we had to shut down. And actually some people, they said that, are you worried about it? I said, no. Why should I worry about it? If I cannot do anything about it, why should I worry about it? It's out of my control. And then afterwards we reopened, and that was it. So the element, again, the way of thinking, it will change it. No, if it was money, then really there was no need for him to worry about that. But if it was business too, again, he didn't have to, because it is out of your control. You just do the best that you can. Don't worry about the things that you can't control.
This might be, and this isn't what you want to talk about, I know, but it popped into my head, so I'm going to say it anyways. Do you think with that whole COVID thing and people being shut down and some people being essential and other people's not, do you think that messed with people a lot? Like, 'cause I was essential. So, like, number one. But other people who weren't, do you think that threw people off? Like,
I'm sure.
Because that's a way of thinking as well. It's like,
I know that some people, they took pride in
or other people being like, I'm going to work,
I don't know. I know that some people, they take any opportunity to be proud of it. Actually, now you're saying that, I'm going to go to the next one, which is a kind of related to some extent. Some of us, we want to feel important. We all do.
Yeah.
Now, for example, that the taking pride in something and being superior to others, which I will talk about the superiority, and the supremism. I will talk about that in another topic. But this is actually around the same thing. And I if you have done it, I'm not making fun of you. Actually, I am. But you're not the only one. When they would be, you stay home, we will take care of you. Thank you. Do your job. It's cool. It's cool. But I'm an essential worker, and then even Costco offers the essential workers some advantages that you don't have to stand in line. Are you serious?
Really?
Yes, they did that.
Here was standing in line like a sucker the whole
Actually,
time.
I think personally I could have said that as a physical therapist. I'm a physical therapist, and I didn't have any ID, maybe.
You're not essential.
I was half essential. Come on. I was half important, okay? You can write that off.
No, okay. You're almost in the cool kid club,
But so that of course goes to the concept of supremacism, that people, they want to feel important, and for some it did it, and awesome. Yeah. But now I wanted actually to the next one. The value system again is related kind of to this. I have, for example, this guy that I know. He's actually quite out of shape, I should say that, but he's just taller and bigger, and he likes to be considered scary. And
okay.
he likes to be considered that, and he has some piercing and some tattoos and beard and thing, and he wears a bandana, so he looks like a bad boy. And he likes that concept, which I brought up once with us. I said, so why don't you just like to be looked at as a more safe and friendly person versus being scary? And I really don't think he's that scary. He's not, He's not that fit in general, but he cannot do anything. Walk fast, you will leave him behind. You don't have to even run.
Yeah.
But in general, the value system that we put, I want to look scary or I want to look friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing is that how do we as a audience, value them? If, for example, I see somebody who tries to look scary, would I really respect them more? Or I would say, are you okay, buddy? Which approach would you take? Because the approach that we take, we put the value on what they do or don't, and then we help them to, direct them to should they do what they are doing or not. For example, now I said about the scary versus, being friendly. The other one is when somebody tries to, for example, look very rich, with have a nice car and nice clothing, and the Gucci, bag. For example, now if we go and we value that just for the fact that they flaunt that money and something like that, then we are encouraging the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take me wrong. If somebody, for example, is into cars, a buddy of mine is just into cars, and that's it. It's not the fact of that he wants to show off or something. It's just into cars. The guy loves it, so that's different. Or some people that they like to dress up and be, look good, and that's cool.
Yeah.
That is, how they are. But if they are doing it with the intention to impress somebody else, then that becomes a bit different. If it's not, they are not doing it for themselves, they are doing it to impress others. And then when it comes to that, now, if we as audience and that we see that, if we feed into it, we encourage the behavior. That is where I'm going with that.
Okay.
If, on the other hand, we obviously look down upon it, then we discourage them. And it will be helpful on their side. This is one of the problems that often people, we want to be nice. And when we want to be nice, we tend to agree with whatever that somebody wants to do. And then if they say something, oh, wow, that's very impressive. No, it's not impressive. It's a dumb idea. Maybe that is why some people don't like me as much. Because I don't say it that way, but I say it behind their back. I'm kidding.
Oh.
but sometimes, when we want to agree just to sound, I don't know, supportive, but really, is it a support? Especially, for example, I said, if somebody the value system that they have is wrong, but then we feed it. Just as I said, to look scary or to look rich, and then we go and feed the idea.
I think if you really think that someone's going down a wrong path and you actually care about them, you have a responsibility to say something. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing wrong with supporting someone in something that maybe you yourself aren't really a fan of, but they are. I don't think there's any problem with showing some support.
I mean that cool enough, but again, I said no. I agree. If there is something that they are doing that person, I think it is not good for them and others, then I'm not going to be supporting it. So, for example, if they want to look scary, people that are in a gang, they want to look scary. Hey, buddy, that's not a very good thing.
No, but it's not.
You want to look more friendly.
It's not hurting anybody.
Actually,
and they're putting out that signal that's kind of what they're about. So good.
I'm not sure.
Let me know I don't want to be around you.
To look scary, I'm not sure if it is a good thing. This is where I'm going with that. To look scary, or for example, to express that being rich and having expensive things I don't think is a good thing. I would value if they are more into being happy, enjoying life, and helping somebody. Versus,
maybe they are.
I'm not too sure about that, and maybe they do that too. Beside this, but again, I do not agree with this part of it. Regardless. This part that if you want to be flaunting your money, or I don't know, just show off and this thing, I don't know. But again, but another thing again, value system. That what do you value? Value function or fashion?
Well, okay, there you go. Then you just because your value system is a specific way, right? So you can understand why these people's value system is another way.
What
right?
I'm trying to say,
and nothing's right or wrong.
Actually, there is though.
Oh,
That is
sorry,
where I'm
sorry,
going.
not nothing is right or wrong. There's definitely right and definitely wrong. I'm just saying in this specific aspect, you can't just say a person's value system is wrong because they like to present themselves in such a way.
As I said, I'm going to go back. If some people, they, for example, they try to dress up, or I don't know, they have a nice car because really they enjoy that,
Mm-hmm.
good on them.
Well, yeah.
But if they are doing it with the intention to impress somebody, I'm not sure if it's the best thing. That's what I'm trying to say.
I don't know.
Or for example, another thing when it comes to function versus fashion, for example, sometimes when we wear shoes or clothing that they feel awful, but it looks supposed to look cool,
Well, who does that?
a lot of people.
Huh.
When it comes to the fashion part of it, very frequently, in the fashion shows, for example, when they wear this funny, silly clothing, which I don't know if anybody wears that, but they are promoting it. And actually, I brought it up, one of the ladies, one of my clients, and she made a very good point. She said, remember, often fashion is not for function. It's just for a show. Because who buys some of this? For example, there was this, I was on a fashion show that I saw this lady, she was wearing a kind of a dress that at the bottom it was like a car. The tires are there. It looks ugly and weird. But anyways, it is just something to think about, I want to bring up some other subject. I don't want to go too long on that. But it is just that, are you more after function or fashion? For example, that, yeah. I mean, it's cool to look good. That becomes another thing. But the fashion part, when we are talking, sometimes becomes the etiquette. That, when, for example, you have to dress a certain way for a certain, thing.
Well, yeah, that's normal though.
Actually, we have made it normal. That's another subject. For example, if you go to a funeral, you're supposed to dress really more formal. Otherwise, it's a kind of a sign of a disrespect.
Right.
Well, who said it is disrespect? And we will get there. That's another story for another night. That, we create those values on our own. They are not real values. In a short, I normally say that we have real values versus constructed values. Constructed values are the ones that we make them up.
Yeah, it's made up and stuff, but it's made up for a reason because it shows like it projects an image out to other people, right? That kind of tells what you're about, right? That says, I'm here and I'm dressed up for this, and I'm going to show this respect for for the deceased, right? Just in that funeral example. Right.
In different environments, yeah.
But showing a specific way or dressing a certain way for a specific task, it's showing other people around you kind of what you're about. Like you wouldn't go to a run, wearing a suit or something, right?
Because it's not comfortable, it's not functional.
Yeah, totally, right. But someone who's really into suits or something might want to do that, and you look at them like, oh, that's weird, But
we will get there.
You're projecting an image out that you're in a group and you're doing one.
Again, when it comes to that part of it, we will bring it up because I will be talking about that.
Like you don't. Okay, listen. So on like a construction job site or something, right? You don't wear jogging pants.
Again, practicality.
Yeah. Well,
I go for the practicality. That is what I'm trying to say. That is it doing function versus the fashion?
But it also shows. But I think when we're talking about clothing and that, it's a signal to other people. It's more than just fashion and practicality. It has something else. It's also sending signals out to other people to how to respond to you in a way. Like when you're not. When it was like a job site again, when you're out there and you're not dressed specifically in the, like, let's say proper, but in a way that's not practical for that task, I'm not going to take you seriously.
I absolutely agree with you. I know what you're saying, and sometimes it is because the value system in the society that has been created, then sometimes we become a slave of it. No, I understand.
Sure,
for example, myself as a physio, if I go with a torn shirt and those kind of things, it may not look too professional, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yes, if you wear, I understand some part of it, but again, these are the etiquettes that we have created.
Yep.
For example, myself, when I wanted to do business, I had to let's say I wanted to buy this building. So I mean, it's not that expensive, just to be clear. But but I had to basically present myself in a way that I have the money,
Right.
that they take me seriously. If I would go, in I don't know, in my sandals, or for example, I wouldn't look wealthy enough to be able to handle it. Most likely, they would not take me seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely, and again because of the value system. But if you're Bill Gates, that everybody knows you're wealthy, then you can go in and your underwear, and they will take you seriously because they know who you are.
Right.
And sometimes when they don't know you, then your clothing is supposed to kind of express that.
Right.
But again, I completely understand what you're saying. But sometimes we want to be careful that are we going too far with that? But that is another thing. But the value system, another one is, for example, are you valuing wealth, or, for example, let's say happiness? This is another thing. If, for example, you see somebody that is rich, and this is the unfortunate thing that this really bugs me. For example, you see advertisement, our politicians, every time they talk about making you richer. But nobody talks about, not nobody. We don't have as much talking about how we can make our lives better and happier. And if we value those kind of things, then, for example, I would be, let's say, as a person, if I have friends that, one is rich, the other one is happy, I would be, personally, I would choose to find a happy guy, say that, hey, what the hell is your secret? I want to know. Mm-hmm. Versus the rich guy to say that, hey, I want to be rich like you. And these are the things that they will affect the circle of friends that we are going to have, and the things that we are going to choose to do, because those friends are going to affect us. So this is, again, another one that we want to think about that. Another one, for example, another value system is, for example, are we looking after, we want to be famous, or do we want to be really helpful and useful? This is a big one. For example, very frequently, especially we see in the new generation, the younger generation, not new, just 2022 brand, but in the younger generation, that everybody wants to be famous. I have no problem with that per se. I like that, but I'm not going to be going out of my way, or do something that is silly, or something that when I say silly, I mean in a bad way. Being silly as a comedy, and being some lighthearted, that's awesome. I really like it. Mm-hmm. But if we are going to be not helpful or useful just for the sake of getting some attention, that's a very negative thing. Mm-hmm. For the person as well as the viewer. But the unfortunate again thing is that we, as in generally as a public, for example, we go for something that is more of a, has more views, is more famous. We just by default, for example, somebody like again this Kardashian, they become influencer. What the hell are they doing? And just because they are famous, and they have become famous because a big group of us, we paid attention to them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be famous. Right. This is where I'm going. And then they become influencer. Are you kidding me?
I don't know what to say about that, because I'm not really involved in that, so I don't know.
Actually, neither am I. But I know
stuff,
a
right?
little.
But I don't like. Yeah, obviously, I know a little. I guess I know a little, not really much, that she's married. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Again, no, and that is good. I'm glad at this to hear that, because I really, it really bothers me when I see some people that they know so much about them, and they follow them, and they watch them, and then who are they? What are they doing that is useful for this society? And they brought this up. Once a friend of mine said that it's entertainment. I said, how much are you willing to pay for entertainment? How much the guy who entertains you should make money and be, famous and get the attention, versus somebody who is really doing a good job? And I'm talking by that, for example, a scientist, or somebody who is working and doing something. And normally I bring this question up, that if I ask you how many, myself, I don't watch any specific TV, or I'm not big into that stuff. If I do, it would be more often it's just a comedy, because comedy is supposed to be comedy. If I do, but anyways, if I ask you how many celebrities or are those kind of movie stars, it's called, how many of them they although, and I have done this question, although, for example, people, even they're not watching, again, myself, I know movie stars and these things. But if you ask myself how many scientists I know, I have to really think hard.
Yeah.
And that shows the value system that our society has, that who comes on top. That
You
is
know,
what I'm saying. And the value system is us. We are bringing it up on top.
Yeah. And I do watch a lot. Like, I do watch videos and listen to podcasts and stuff about, like, scientists talking about things, but I don't remember their names, you know, exactly. And I only remember parts of the concepts, you know.
And
So-
this is where I'm going with that. These are all the value systems that as a society we put. And then when we don't do that, if, for example, we as a society generally we would do that, then media, of any type of media, would put more focus on the scientist, on some people that are more productive and they are doing something good versus somebody who is not.
But then
We
the-
will get
but
into
then-
that. I don't
but
want to
then-
get deviated too much.
But then the scientist ends up being the celebrity, right? And then they get all that attention put on them, and then they won't be able to do what they're supposed to do. It's like, remember the Kids in the Hall movie, Brain Candy?
No.
Oh man, you should watch that.
No, actually, this that I'm saying, I'm not saying that the scientists become celebrity. That's not what I'm saying. Because if
but
it-
you're
again,
saying
it's
that
just-
if we treated the scientists like the celebrity, they wouldn't be able to be a scientist.
No, that's not what I said. They don't get the attention.
Right.
That is what I'm saying. Getting the attention doesn't mean. It is like, you know, when you go buy chips, then they say this is not chips, this is kale, just deep fried with extra salt. It's as bad as the other one. So what I'm saying, when I'm talking scientists, I'm talking like the kale itself, not deep fried with salt. And I'm not saying the scientists to become the next I don't know, movie star. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying that, you know, if we put more attention on the scientists, hey, we have these scientists, and they have done this and that. We know them, that if when we ask a young person how many scientists do you know versus how many movie stars, at least they can come up with a few names. Anyway, we'll get there, because that is another subject that topic that I really, really like to talk.
Okay.
But the very last one that I'm going to bring up again about the value system is, for example, sometimes when we seek approval, for example, or versus we ask for challenges. If we want to be challenged, what do we value? Then our value system is more, I want somebody to agree with what I'm saying. Although in my case, if you agree, then you're smart.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. That was a joke. But or versus, you know, I want somebody to challenge me. So this value system will direct the way that, for example, we pick our friends. If, for example, a friend agrees with me and then I want approval, then I will be me. I will never ever change. There is no way that I can improve. But if somebody is challenging me and I seek that, that helps me to grow and, you know, think twice about the things that I want to do and hopefully get it better.
Yeah. It's funny, sometimes I do things just for approval, for sure. You know, I just want to show something and say, hey, look at this or whatever, you know, and it's more just I'm after affirmation, like you said, you know, and other times I'll do the same thing and I'm after, well, how can you see anything where I could go a little different here, or like, you know?
No, you know what?
So
Actually,
it's
you're
tough.
saying that.
It's like both, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
you brought it up. Actually, you just made me think. Personally, I do that too. Sometimes I really go at the beginning. For example, when I want to start this podcasting, I go discuss it with lots of people, and I'm lucky that I'm a physical therapist, so I have lots of clients. Too bad for them. I just ask them the questions.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of feedback that way. But then after some time, I'm more. You're right. You know that I'm more into approval versus somebody that challenge me, and I have to become more aware of it. So because of that, the thing that I'm preaching is not necessarily I'm doing them. I'm trying to work on it. I'm trying to myself, learn it and just become more of it. But again, at the end of the day, just to be aware that are we seeking approval or seeking really a challenge? And challenge is a good thing, because once I brought up with a young lady, and then she said, I can challenge your, options. She was kind of taken aback. I said, no. Challenge is a very good thing. You want to seek that. I had to explain That is not, I'm not attacking your identity and these things. I'm just saying that part, that idea that they want to do, let us re-examine it and look at it from a different view. But again, at the end, again, as always, life is simple. We make it complicated. So let's not do that. And then back to the question of the day. So again, for the question, I would say, what do you do? Do you take pride in saving or spending money? Do you want to look scary or friendly? Are you after fashion or function? What do you value more, health or wealth? And then do you want to be really famous or really helpful? Because there are two different things. And then at the end, do you seek approval or do you prefer constructive criticism and a challenge? Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.